I'm Rob.
And I'm Nate.
And welcome back to Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. This is episode 6 of our October 2021 theme month horror movies. And continuing the original from our very first episode, we are continuing in the Halloween series. Nate, tonight we watched Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Indeed.
Have you seen this before?
I've seen part of this before.
Okay. What was your familiarity coming into tonight?
My familiarity coming into tonight is a big spoiler, which I actually thought was how the film ended, but it's not. It's the original mask sequence.
Okay.
The first kid.
Yeah.
And this would have been sometime in the early 90s. I think it must have been in elementary school because it was trick-or-treating, and I think I stopped by middle school. But we were over at the home of the Olsons, and lived a couple doors down, and my brother Colin was good friends with Dan Olson. And I forget if I guess it was probably after trick-or-treating, or maybe we were getting ready to go. We were probably getting ready to go now that I think about it. And this was on in the background. And I saw the scene where the little kid puts on the mask and turns into snakes and bugs and stuff. Absolutely horrified by it. I was disgusted by that. It's like, how could this is not appropriate. This is not, it's kind of prudish towards it. And it is legitimately scary. Like, this is a weird movie.
Yes.
It's scary, but not in a traditional, I don't know if I want to call it existentially scary because it's too weird to really be existential horror, but it's unsettling. That's probably the word for it.
It's corporate horror.
It is corporate horror.
Yeah.
With a little bit of the Wicker Man thrown in for flavor.
Yeah. What I was mostly familiar with coming into tonight was that this is what John Carpenter originally envisioned for the Halloween series.
Yeah, he wanted it to be an anthology like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and Michael Myers was only supposed to be a single movie. So this is where he wanted the rest of this to go. So the studio forced him to do a second with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And then he insisted on going back to his anthology format for this one.
It's a misfire.
I don't know if it works for me.
We'll get into kind of some of my final thoughts, or maybe I'll skip ahead. I don't know. It's really weird. Weird is the word I'd use to describe it, and frankly, I kind of liked it because it was weird. Because it's hard to think of anything quite like this, and it certainly was an original concept, and it's its own kind of scary. It's kind of silly too at
it's
places.
Very flawed too.
Yeah. We got Tom Atkins, Thrill Me, our cop from Night of the Creeps, plays Dr. Daniel Chalice. And he is a medical doctor who one night he's called into the hospital, and there's this crazy man who's clutching a Halloween mask and is brutally murdered. His skull's crushed later that night, and it disturbs him. And he is eventually sought out by the man's daughter, played by Stacey Nelkin, Ellie Grimbridge. And they figure out something's up. I forget exactly how they come to the conclusion that it has to do with the masks.
Because so in the hospital, he's passed out on the gurney, and then the commercial comes on, and he comes to and says they're going to kill us all, and then they have to resedate him. And so Dr. Chalice is... Sorry, I'm distracted by myself by a joke I've been trying to avoid not to make.
Oh, okay.
Our overly sexualized doctor's name is Chalice. It seems a little on point.
Indeed.
But yeah, so Chalice realizes, hey, there's something going on with these masks. And then Brimbridge, says, oh, my dad didn't get his order. There was something wrong with the order, blah, blah, blah. Let's go look for it.
And two of them head off together to this small town. It's an Irish-themed town. I don't think I wrote down the name of the town in the movie, but the actual town where it was filmed is called Loleta, California, in Humboldt County, Northern California, which is where Northern California is what the title card says at the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But they go down there. It's a weird town founded by an Irishman, and it's the Silver Shamrock. It was a toy company, became a novelty company that's selling these Halloween masks and advertising the heck out of these things. Just it's got this very annoying commercial that is played many times over the course of the film to the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down. Because it's X more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. It's X more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Yeah.
And so they go to the town, and they eventually end up on this kind of factory tour with this family that is... He's the number one salesman of the mask. And the guy, Dan O'Hurley, plays...
Connell Cochran.
Who's the guy that runs and owns this factory. It's been in his family for a couple generations. I kind of liked him. Just the performance that he gives.
Yeah.
He seems to be very ingratiating, but he has weird ideas that he plans to put into effect. What they have done is they've stolen the moonstone from Stonehenge.
The blue stone, I believe they call it. And
possibly some other artifacts or like
no, it's the stone from Stonehenge, and they're taking a small portion of it and
which
putting it
hold up.
In these chips, the microchips that they're attaching to the masks
because
it's got some power.
Yeah.
Well, they've put a microchip into the label that they're putting on the masks, and they're putting a fragment of the stone from Stonehenge into this microchip because Cochran tells us that even just a tiny portion has power. Yeah.
Because he's this weird Wicker Man type neo-pagan from, in this case, Ireland, ancestrally.
Well, but
he has these ideas.
He's got some sort of plot to end Halloween.
Yeah. Because he says that people have forgotten the true meaning of Halloween, which was not about running around and begging for candy. It was about dark stuff. And he talks about... It seems like his theory was to kind of curb the population. Like, there was kind of like a natural curbing that he wanted to do. But basically, he's cursed these masks so that... And he's built up this thing about all the children need to show up on Halloween night to watch this big giveaway. And they are transmitting things in the commercial giveaway thing that activates the power in the mask, and literally the children's skulls cave in on themselves and become various bugs and snakes. And it's really pretty gross. It's a scary concept.
Yeah.
But there's a number of logistical problems with this. Do you have further thoughts before I go into those?
There's just a whole bunch of plot holes. You know, like when they're at the factory and Ellie Grimbridge is separated from Daniel Chalice, and then he goes and rescues her after a fairly short period of time. Have they created a robotic version of her?
We forgot to mention they make mechanical people. That's the other part of his plan.
Well, but he's a toy maker who we see has made very complex toys over the course of his life, and the next iteration is these robot people who look so lifelike, you know. But so it's just
another version of a mask.
So did they create a robot version of Ellie Grimbridge in that short period of time, or did they take her skin and put it on a robot, also in a very implausibly short period of time?
My concern is less of the mechanics of the far-fetched robot people than it is with the logistics of the plan and how many kids he's going to get. Because the advertisement talks about tune in at 9. Now, presumably, you can only do this once. You can only do it's a giveaway. It's going to be a nationwide feed. At 9 o'clock, California time. Freaking midnight on the East Coast. You're not going to get any of those East Coast kids. And it's part of a horror-thon where, and they make this joke several times in the film, where they're showing the original Halloween movie. That's not a movie for kids.
Yeah.
And they bought off time on all three networks. And at the end of the film, the desperate Dr. Chalice gets somebody on the phone and somehow convinces that person's in a position to cut the feed.
For all three.
For all three networks. He definitely succeeds with two of them, But it's left ambiguous about the last network, whether they're able to get that cut off. So I don't know how many kids you'd get. I don't think you'd get that many.
My understanding was they only cared about getting a limited number because then it was going to instill such fear in everyone else.
It would destroy Halloween, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be... They make that joke earlier, he won't take my orders for next year. Well, maybe there's not going to be a Halloween next year. There wouldn't be.
Yeah. And what are these guys doing, placing a mask order a full year in advance?
Yeah. And there's only 3 masks. There's a pumpkin, there's the skull, there's the witch.
Yeah.
That's not enough variety.
That's because this is the season of the witch.
I remember as a kid, it was important to me that my Halloween costumes be... I didn't want everybody to have the same costume as me. It's like kids like to personalize, and these are not sufficiently personalized.
I don't know. I don't know that they're personalizing that much anymore.
Yeah.
You know. So that part's semi holds up. That might be the most realistic part of this movie. What did you make of that blowing up of the factory?
It was fine.
Dropping all of the chips.
Oh yeah, that was kind of neat. See, that was weird, and you know, that's not the solution in every movie. Like that, like it's distinct, and that's the strongest thing that this movie has going for it. Is it's got a really distinct flavor to it.
It's definitely different.
I also I like Tom Atkins. I think he's a good lead, and then I like Stacey Nelkin. She looks like Jennifer Beals. That's who I kept thinking of in this.
Yeah.
And then Dan O'Hurley was... when I was watching that part at first, I'm like, well, do you want to get like a Joseph Cotton or somebody for that part? And O'Hurley worked a lot for a long time, but he's not really a name. You know, it's not somebody who's instantly recognizable. And I think that kind of helped because you didn't really have like preconceptions of this is a nice guy or this is a bad guy. I thought he did a fine job. It's a very enigmatic character.
Another interesting note on this movie is that, you know, so this factory is supposed to be producing children's masks, and yet they openly admit that no one can watch the finishing process because the amount of caustic, you know,
volatile chemicals
that they're using in finishing the children's masks. Like, they're openly admitting that they're making these masks hazardous, and everyone loves them anyway.
The guy who's interested in the top salesman wants to. I wanted just a peek at the finishing process. He's like, no, we use volatile chemicals. Just absolutely accepts it.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
volatile
it was the
chemicals.
80s, so yeah, it was the 80s.
Yeah. So you did not care for Halloween 3: The Season of the Witch?
It was okay. It was not what I expected from a Halloween movie.
Did you know anything about the plot with turning the heads into...
No.
Because that was the one thing I knew about this movie. That's where the masks turn the kids into bugs and snakes.
Yeah. I didn't know much about it, but I did notice that this movie won one award.
Ooh.
I'm not even going to ask you to guess because I know
from the National Association of Advertisers Innovative Commercial Award.
It won Best DVD Blu-ray Collection as part of the Halloween the Complete Collection. So it didn't even actually win on its own.
Oh, yeah.
It was a nominee for a Saturn Award for Best Poster Art. Yeah.
Good for it.
Yeah. This had a budget of $2.5 million.
Oh, yeah?
So for a major motion picture, not a huge budget.
No.
Opening weekend, $6.3 million domestically. A domestic gross of $14.4 million. And it's saying that it has the same in terms of a worldwide gross. So I assume that number is off. But yeah, made money.
Yeah.
Horror movies always seem to make money.
That they do.
Doesn't necessarily make sense because some of them are not great. But they seem to make money.
Yeah, oftentimes people are going to a horror movie. They're not particularly discerning. What would you rate Halloween 3: Season of the Witch?
I'm torn. You're right in that it was something new. I had not anticipated that, or where this movie went. But it's not great.
No, it's not. I think it sells what it's selling about as well as you could.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could make this movie better.
Oh, I can't
in any significant way.
I don't know how you necessarily make it any better either. The question is just whether it should have been made. It's got an aggregate score on IMDb of 5 stars. I'm torn whether to go higher or lower. I'm going to probably end up right around that same 5-star rating that it gets its aggregate score is. You could probably convince me to make it a 6, but I could just as easily be convinced to give it 4 stars. Okay. What about you? What would you rate this
what are
movie?
you rating it on the 4-star scale?
1.
Really?
Yeah.
You did not like it?
It wasn't great.
It's a 1, but it's a 6?
It's like a 5. I mean, I don't know.
You thought it was poor? You didn't even think it was fair?
Okay, I'll give it 2 stars.
You need to move that up, bucko.
Okay. 2 stars on the 4-star scale.
Okay. I'm giving it 2.
I mean, maybe a 1. This isn't time I'll give it a half. It's a 1.5.
It's a 1.5. I liked it. I didn't love it. As I mentioned before, I liked that it was different and weird. And that pushes it up from what would have been 2 stars to 2.5. Because I admire the going out on the limb and doing something different of it. And I would give it 6 on the 10-star scale.
Yeah. Nice.
Now we have a real challenge. Ranking our 6 films.
Yes. Now, I'm curious which ones you think are going to be my top.
Well, I think The Exorcist is going to be the top.
Yes, Exorcist is number 1. I think that's pretty obvious. And I assume that's the case for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ranked your 6?
I have ranked my 6.
What do you think is going to be number 2 for me?
For number 2 for you, Carnival of Souls.
Absolutely. I loved that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great.
Indeed.
Yeah, that was the surprise of this month for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's your number 3?
Let's see. Number 3 would probably have to be...
Night of the Hunter?
Yes, Night of the Hunter. Number 4 would be Muppets Haunted Mansion. Halloween 3 is number 5. And Critters Attack is number 6.
All right. Well, I will... I think we probably know what my 1 and 6 is, but I'll work my way up from 6. Number 6 is Critters Attack, which was awful. Number 5 is Muppets Haunted Mansion. Number 4 is Halloween 3. Number 3 is Carnival of Souls. Number 2, Night of the Hunter. And number 1, The Exorcist.
Yeah. So we're close in our top 3. We agree on our bottom.
Yeah.
Critters Attack was not great. What is the other conclusion we have come to this month, Nate?
That Rob only gets to choose one Halloween movie next year.
Yep, that's my punishment from having picked Critters Attack.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else do you have to say about Halloween 3?
I think I've said what I have to say about Halloween 3. I think it's its own thing.
Yeah. You liked it a decent amount, huh?
I did. I thought it was, yeah.
How do you think it falls in the series of the Halloween movies thus far?
Well, it's the bottom of the 3 that I've seen thus far.
Yeah.
And obviously it represented a bit of a misfire for the franchise because they never went back to the anthology.
To the anthology, yeah.
It's all about Michael Myers.
He also sold the franchise after this. I'm curious, like, part of me wants to know if he hadn't sold the rights to the franchise after this, if he would have ever made another attempt at the anthology and maybe what it would have turned into, because both of us can appreciate an anthology series if it's decently executed. I just didn't think this one was even decently executed. So, well, if there's nothing else to add, I'm Rob.
And I'm Nate.
And this is Rob and Nate Record a Podcast. I was going to look at some trivia. Do you know this is based on a book?
Oh, no.
Yeah. By Dennis Etchinson.
Well, no, that's a novelization. The movie's novelization was published in 1982.
I see.
I've never read a novelization. I mean, I think as a kid, the really condensed ones for like Disney movies.
I read a novelization of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did it live up to the source material?
I honestly don't remember. I think my parents still have a paperback version of it, but I don't know. The voice of the operator that Chalice keeps getting when he tries to call out of Santa Maria or Santa Mira is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I knew that one.
I didn't know that one.
Because when you Google the movie, it shows her in the cast, and I'm like, wow, she's in the other Halloween movies. And it's like operators. Oh, okay.
Oh, the small town of Santa Mira, California was also the setting for Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh. Which I'm honestly thought, maybe I will watch that tonight. I was thinking, I go home, maybe I'll watch that in the background. It's a good movie. The one from the 50s. One from the 70s is okay.
Yeah? Have you watched both already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched them last year.
Well, there wasn't anything else worth mentioning out of the trivia, so I'm curious where the disconnect is, like why this works for you but it doesn't work for me.
It's Corman-esque in some ways. It's kind of I don't know what the word I'm grappling for. The pulpiness of it, maybe. It's like something you'd read in Amazing Stories, or
Yeah.
It's just it's not high art.
Yeah.
But I think it works for what it is.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that in the rankings this ended up ahead of Haunted Mansion for you.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion. There's nothing there.
Yeah. I mean, it was Muppets. There was Muppets there. So.
Yeah, we're.
Yep.
Final. No, that was my joke. The joke was final joke. It's dry.
Like a Muppets joke.
Indeed. Maybe the joke got repossessed. What would you read? Beep.
Looks like we are working.
We're good? Everything seems to be fine with the other files?
Yeah.
Well.
Just testing levels now.
Well, you're testing levels, are you? Well, I'm going to test some levels myself. You know what? My problem with our finishing process is the volatile chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Well, it's because you don't do the finishing process. I do.
It's a trade secret.
Yeah.